to have where, there's always going to be, we know there's wars, rumors of wars, but as far as look at us today, we have peace. Don't we have peace when we go to bed? We have peace, even though we're amongst Pharisees, we're amongst what? Wolves in sheep clothing. But are they attacking us? No. So we have what? Peace. So is everybody with me? And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice or cockatrice den. So I know this is very deadly poisonous snakes, is it not? So she was saying this is literally, when you look at a suckling child, that's just like what? An infant and a weaned child, a little bit older than an infant, is that right? Because, weaned child ain't gonna be breastfed no more. It means he's off the milk, and now he's more, older. But any ways, it's talking about, they're young. They really don't know no better. But I know Pastor was giving me an example about her sister playing with, I can't remember what kind of snake she said. I think she said a king. Y'all got king snakes or something in Florida?
I think Florida's known for python.
Well, she was telling me about your Auntie Rose playing with the snake. But anyway, the snake didn't what? The snake didn't harm her. It didn't do her any harm. So when you look at that, she was talking about how God gives us harmony with animals like that to where they don't harm it. Now, when you go playing around with one, like them snake handlers, and they get big because they ain't got no business, they tempting God. Because God gave us power to tread upon these things, but that's only, and look at like Paul. Yeah, look at Paul. Paul got bit by, was it a viper? Yeah, they looked for Paul to fall dead. But Paul wasn't tempting that snake. He wasn't trying to play with it or handle it. He couldn't help it. But what happened? That's right, he shook it off. And they looked at Paul like, you ain't dead, Jed? Oh my gosh. So that's where, so does everybody understand this so far? Okay. And verse 9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. And she, like the pastor was explaining to me, the holy mountain, like, that's God's mountain. Y'all remember the Bible speaks about his holy mountain. Who remembers the holy mountain? That's it. Mount Sinai. And then you had the three mountains where he dwelled. Mount Paran, that's it. What was the other one? You had Paran, Sinai, and what? No Byrd. You did good though. The other one was Mount Seir. Y'all remember that in Deuteronomy where it talks about the three mountains where he dwelled. So he says, you're not going to hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. So in other words, can't nobody, Moses was the only one that was able to go up in the mountains. Y'all remember that? He was the only one that was able to go. And even they had boundaries set. Y'all remember when God told them okay, now set a boundary, because if not, you cross that boundary, what's going to happen? That's right, you're going to die. So he says, you ain't going to hurt the mountain, you ain't going to destroy in my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And as Pastor was explaining to me, as it goes all the way to Malachi, those were what? They were all prophets. They prophesied. And now it gets into, as it's coming to Matthew, and now I'm going to let her explain that because I forgot what she said about that knowledge. So, but anyway, I know she took me as far as how they, had God give them that gift to prophesy, but I don't want to say this part wrong. I'm thinking she was saying now the knowledge begins with Christ coming on the scene. But I'll ask her when she comes to make sure that's correct. But, so y'all just hang on to that little last part. But everybody understand the rest. Is that everybody clear on that? Okay, so now we're going to go on back in. I just wanted to finish that up. So we're about to get out of the month of December and start on January. So now, let's go into our lesson. You should be at Matthew chapter 2. And our lesson, is everybody there? Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. And our subject is Wise Men Worship Christ. And our lesson text is coming from Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. And our golden text is coming from Matthew chapter 2, verse 11. And who would like to read that golden text?
And when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh.
Amen. And today's aim is to understand the dynamics of this historic event and to live victoriously through the illumination of all God's prophecies in the Word. So I like that. How many of y'all know we should be all victorious?
Yes.
Through Christ, because He's what? He's victory. I remember that song they sing, Victory in Jesus. I don't know the rest. Y'all know that song? That's all I know. Victory in Jesus. Everybody know that? Kathy, you know it? Oh, then you watch the rest. Victory in Jesus what? That's it. A victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. Sing it, Tony. And I tell you what, Tony, you sang on that Christmas party night. You shocked me, boy. You sang. I thought I was going to start crying. Oh, really? Oh, that's all right.
Pastor of church, but when I lived in Chattanooga, we drove from Rockville to Dalton. We had this little church, and our pastor passed away. My dad was assistant pastor. That's why I grew up listening.
So you was in the choir? Oh, no.
Well, no, I take it back. I was in the children's choir.
Where's you? Oh, come on, good God, a hand praise for our Tony. Oh, you were bold. Now that makes you prefer that boldness to sing like that.
Yeah, I had a sore throat.
Oh, that's all right, but you got up there. So anyway, we got victory in Jesus because why? He died on the cross. That just gave us our victory through everything. And He died for every area of my life. Everything that He hung on that cross, it took care of what? Everything that I go through, it don't matter. God already knows what you're going to go through before you go through it. How many of y'all know that? He already knows your whole life. Your whole life is already planned out. So, but God knew that He was going to have to go die on that cross for what? For our sins, for our hurt, for our deliverance, whatever we stand in the need of. That everything has been nailed to the what? To the cross. So there's nothing in our lives that we can't what? That we can't have victory over. When you serve a God, He gives you victory through what? In all things. So I'm not defeated. I don't care what it looks like. I'm not defeated because I serve a God who has already gave me victory in every part of my life. Is that all right?
Yes.
So now we're going to go into our lesson. We've been talking about the birth of last week was, the birth of Jesus Christ and how Mary was, how we talked about how Joseph, she was found with child and she was conceived by who? By the Holy Ghost. So Joseph knew they was with their betrothal, so their marriage had not been consummated through sexual intercourse yet. So Joseph was concerned about, what's people gonna say? She's with child and we ain't even had sex yet. So he had thought about putting her away, what? Privately, because to find out that you done committed adultery, you would be what? That's right, you will be stoned. So he said, he was thinking on this, well, I think I'm just going to put her away, privately. And that meant to what? Divorce her, because that's what this was like. It was like a marriage, but it wasn't consummated until you had that sexual intercourse. So, but he was going to, you had to what? Legally get a divorce, even with your betrothal. Is that right? You couldn't just, like we do, we get engaged and then we break it off. We get engaged, we may break it off. But they actually had to do a legal what? Divorce, just to get separated from being what? Betrothal, however you want to say it. So anyway, the angel came and spoke to Joseph and told him, Joseph, don't do that. Don't fear. This is of God. And it goes on. I'm not going to go on in that story. But anyway, it brings us to...
Hey, Tony, I got a quick question. At the end of last week's lesson, verse 25, it said he knew her not till he brought forth the firstborn son. Is there any significance to the fact that he didn't consummate that?
Well, because she was already pregnant with child, and so, because the angel done spoke. Remember, go back and look. And she shall bring forth a son. So that was already the savor in her. So you don't want to, mess anything up concerning what God was already doing.
Yeah, I knew that. I didn't know if there was any other significance behind that.
Yeah, that's because to know her means he never, had sex with her until after the child was born. So he didn't want to mess up the plans of God and what was going on. Is that all right? Is that right, Pastor? Our associate pastor. We thank God for Mr. New York back. We thank God for our associate pastor. We missed y'all. So everybody understand that? I mean, is that okay, Monty?
Yeah.
Deacon Monty? Okay. So now, going back into our lesson. So we know that Christ, Christ was born. We talked about that in the last lesson. So now, will somebody shut that door?
Got it. Yeah.
So now, Matthew 2. Who wants to do verses? We're at Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Who wants to do that? Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and 2.
Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod, the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that was born king of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Well, Bethlehem, meaning the house of bread, and it's also called the city of David, and it's the place where the Messiah was born, where Jesus was born. And Herod is talking about Herod the Great, the son of, I don't know how to say it, and yeah. He was alarmed by the birth of Jesus and had all the children of Bethlehem for 2 years and younger killed.
Okay, you're going all into the lesson, just verses 1 and 2.
Wise men with the bad eyes. And two, when the wise men arrived in Jerusalem, they started asking questions and seeking for the king of the Jews. And then while they were in the east, that's when they had seen the star, right? When they were in the east. And they came, and when they did, I think in Numbers 24 and 7, it might tell you how they seen the star, and then they came to honor him and to bow down in homage to pay earthly respect and the king.
That's good. So go back and look now when Jesus, on verse 1, was born in Bethlehem of what? Judea. So when you look, Bethlehem and Jerusalem, Bethlehem to where the wise men, scratch that. When you're looking at Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king. Now, as you were saying, Herod the king, Herod the Great, as he was called in the word Herod the Great, and she was correct with him being his father being Antipas. He was a very cruel person. And as she done said some of it in our lesson, but he also had family killed. How many of y'all searched that? So what, Monty? I'll use your mic.
was short, but it was his wife, 2 wives, and his 2 sons.
That's right. So when you, I mean, if you can kill your own family, you know, your own wife and your own children, you're a ruthless person. Is that not right? So this kind of lets you see what kind of king that Herod was. He was ruthless. He didn't care about nobody but him. What? But himself. So, oh, go ahead. Use your mic, baby. We thank God for our pastor back with us. And our Jackie. We missed you all.
He also claimed to be Jewish, but he wasn't Jewish. He was an Edomite. Yeah, he was an Edomite. Yeah, and he also, you know, and when I was looking at this, I was looking at the fact that, you know, he was a very talented king. He built David's houses and stuff like that. I mean, we got to look at, you know, this man was very knowledgeable in a lot of things. But his main goal, he was threatened. I don't know if it's going to work, you know, when they do that, but he was threatened of the fact that a Messiah was coming.
You get on the phone. But that's good. But that's good. And he even was one that rebuilt the what? Oh, we know. Y'all didn't hear her. Anybody hear what she said? He rebuilt the what? That's right. He did. Because I believe it was that when Zerubbabel done it, with that king giving him permission to do it, I think was it Herod thought it was too short, or the measurements weren't correct or something, right? So somebody as cool as him cares about that. But, so that's who, when you're looking at just trying to paint a picture, who King Herod is. Now, we're going to hop right here and backtrack. I told you we're going to hold on to our pastor got here. Pastor, I explained everything of the other lesson, but I just forgot one detail about that 9th verse about the knowledge. I know you said what they had was the prophecies on up to Malachi. Right. And then what did you say after that? I forgot.
The knowledge was, you know.
Someone give her the mic, please.
When it came to the knowledge of God and what was in the earth concerning Christ Jesus and concerning God himself and salvation, it was limited. It was not as much. So now when you see when God said that there be more knowledge in earth than that, except when Jesus came on the face of the earth, that's why he referred back to Moses' law and back to Isaiah and Joel, because of that as far as the knowledge of God that came. And from that point, when Jesus was on the face of the earth, it began more knowledge of him in who God is when Jesus walked on the face of the earth. So how many understand that? Because the word was not written until Jesus finished the books. So how many understand that? So from the knowledge when Christ came upon the earth, it was limited. When Christ came upon the earth, he fulfilled even more knowledge. Because why? The books were being written concerning him and everything that he said, to fulfill everything. So everybody understand that?
Yes, we got it. I just had kind of, I didn't jot it down last night. I was getting so hard and sleepy. I didn't jot it down. So what she said about that knowledge? I sure was. But we thank God for our pastor. Yeah, it was. So now, okay, we're going to go back to Matthew 2:1. So everybody understand who Herod the king is, right? And like she's finally was saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now I know me and Pastor was going on about last night where they could have been coming from, and she had told me it was coming from Persia or Babylon to walk, to see. So as you were saying, about them seeing the star. And how many of y'all know what the wise men were? That's right. They were astrologers. So they had seen, so I look at how God used something for them, something that's familiar, something that they're familiar with, to draw them to him. Is that awesome? Because they already deal and all that. So he used that star to pull them. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. So saying, where is he that is born, King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now, from my understanding, I don't even think the Magi, they were called Magi's as well. I don't even think they were Christians. They were, I didn't think so. But even they wanted to come and what? Worship Christ. And then you got some that call themselves saved and Christian, don't even want to give Christ the time of day anymore. Don't want to come to church, don't want to work, don't want to read the Bible, don't want to pray, but you say you're a Christian. Don't want to get before God, don't want to come to Tuesday night prayer, but you say you are what? Christian. Is that right? So, but here you got Magi's. Oh, we see the star. We want to come and worship him, give God what's what? Due to him, to reverence him. And worship also is our what? To worship is to what? To praise him? The Bible says, and let everything has breath, praise ye the Lord. It says surrender. Humble yourselves and surrender. It's your lifestyle, but along with that lifestyle is what? It's how you live your life, but it's what? Obedience to Christ and all things. That's what Father says. What you say, Monty?
Worship is humbling yourself before God.
Humbling yourself before God. Y'all talking like y'all saying it like you questioned it. Oh, go ahead, Nikki. Somebody give Nikki, boy, glad to have you in Sunday school. Woo, woo. My grader is here, right, Nikki? A new year, all right.
We try to make it, Tony.
Oh, that's so great.
Worship is reverence towards the Lord or an adoration towards him.
All right, Nikki. Reverence and adoration. I like that. So that's correct. And it's what? I think you said surrender. And it's submitting your will to God because we want to do what we want to do, right? But when you can submit your will, it's how you live your life. It all comes together. How you live your life, submitting your will to God, and as our Nikki said, reverence him. Give him what's due to him because he is God. He is what? King of kings. He is our what? Lord and our master. So we ought to show that. When someone is your Lord and master, you're going to give them the what? Respect. Is that right? If you had to take the slavery days, you think they taught back to their masters? They did whatever. They submitted, right? They surrendered to them, their whole will. They did whatever their master said to do. Is that right? So, does anybody have any questions? So the Magi they come to where they saw the star and they come to worship him. So now who wants to do verses 3 and 4? Okay. Oh, somebody give me a microphone.
When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And Herod, had summoned all the priests and scribes trying to figure out, where he was supposed to be born because, he was worried that he was they called him the King of the Jews, and prophesied that, he would be the King of the Jews, and he was actually, Herod was proclaimed King of the Jews, and he thought he was going to come to take over his throne or whatever, so he felt threatened, so he just was going to try to figure out where he was born at, so he just, kill him and be done with it. And that's pretty much what I got out of it,
Look, you got it. That's good. That was good. So he was right. Like he said, when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled. And so like he said, that stirred him up. Because he's like, now I'm the king of the Jews, man. Y'all talking about coming to worship who? Y'all not coming to worship me? So, you know, he did. He felt threatened because he was the king of the Jews. And I think he was even like of the Roman, right? The Roman province. But because I think it goes back to, if I ain't mistaken with the history, his father. I think it goes back to his father. So, anyways, he felt, you know, trouble because now his kingship was, he felt threatened. And so now he's going to go to the religious people. I call them religious. Now, not all priests were bad, but boy, there's a whole lot of word when you read about the priests. Now he goes to the who? Look at verse 4. The chief priests and the scribes, and y'all know the scribes were who? What did the scribes do? Who can tell me who the scribes were? Yeah, they taught the law. They taught the word, but they were still in that old, if I'm not mistaken, they were still in that old Mosaic law way of teaching. So, the Torah. That's almost a tongue twister for me. That's right. So that's who he goes. That's who King Herod goes to. The chief priest. No, and like I said, religious because they were very religious. They had the outer appearance going on, but on the inside, what? Say it, Sean. I can't hear you. Hatred. Hatred? Yeah, but what? How was their heart? That's right, far from them. They try to act like it. They had the whole thing going on here. But their heart was, and you know, many times he referred to them, the Pharisees and all them as what? That's right, hypocrites. So, but they were religious, so Herod said, well, let me go to these people, because I know they know something about the word. I know the scribes know something about the word. So, and he demanded of them where Christ should be born. So now here's somebody that's cruel, done killed some of his family. So you think if somebody comes to you demanding, you gonna sing like a bird, ain't you? You gonna tell it all. So that's what 3 and 4 is. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to add on to this? Okay, so let's go on to someone do 5 and 6. Well, y'all slow getting up this morning. Come on, Kathy. I'm gonna start pointing out here with this next little bit.
And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. And they were just letting him know where Jesus was born. And they were telling him about the old prophet, Isaiah, telling about who Jesus was. And that was, like Chris said, that was making Herod really nervous because he thought he was coming to take over the spot.
That's good, Kathy. So, and that's all correct. And they said it to him in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus is written by the prophet. What prophet was that? That's right, prophet Michael. And thou Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people. So the governor is what? A ruler. So now I can imagine Herod getting all puffy, red in the face, you know, just getting all hot and bothered now. You mean to tell me, wait a minute, there's another governor coming that's going to rule who? The people of Israel? I thought I was the ruler. So I can imagine him, you know, getting all hot and bothered. He's irritated now because he feels, like we said earlier, he feels threatened. Does anybody have any questions? We're going to move on. Somebody do 7 and 8. Go ahead, Bill.
And it reads, it says that Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them what time the star appeared. You just said 7 and 8, right? Mm-hmm. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search carefully for the young child. And when you have found him, bring back word to me, that I may come and worship him also. So again, we know that again, Herod was a king in that he was king over the people, but you know, we also know that he wasn't giving word or trying to go seek out Jesus to worship him, but we know he wanted to do what? He wanted to go ahead and kill him. So because, I mean, to me, you know, and it's like, you know, today it's all about power, having that power and ruling. And if anybody comes into your space to take over, you're going to make sure you do whatever you can to get rid of that individual, that person, no matter what it is. And you take this time, his authority was threatened. That he had, it was threatened by the Messiah coming. And so what, he had some wise men in his corner say, look, tell me, when y'all seen the star? By what time it came? You know, because he said, call them secretly, you know, into his chambers or whatever he was. But again, he felt threatened. So he said, look, I got to do something about this. I got to go to kill because anybody will have no authority but me. That's what I got in those 2 verses.
That's awesome. Y'all better watch people who start getting off secret. Y'all ever been around people who start getting off secretive? Y'all know that 2 things about being secretive. Now, one, you may just be trying to plan a surprise for somebody. You try to whisper around and get something together. The other thing, you up to no good. How many of y'all know that? Because you whispering and going on, beware of a whisperer. Trying to be out secretive because you don't want nobody to know what you're trying to do. So, and that's what Herod done, try to, you know, let me just go to them privately. And knowing good well, all that hatred he has in his heart, a cruel man, done killed some of his family, ain't been more gonna go worship nobody. So, but he gonna let him know, y'all said, I want to worship him too. Y'all ever seen them kind of people? No, they just trying to find out your business. They ain't no concern for you. They just try to be out secretive and find out really your business. So beware of them people who try to be secretive. They inherit the grave. Anybody want to add to that? That's awesome, Dion. So let's go to, we might just finish this lesson up. We are doing really good. So let's go to D. Have you done anything yet? Okay. Let's get you to do verses 9 and 10.
Okay. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding joy, great joy. Now, you know the king and prophet called him and looking, wanted to know where his child was and everything. So at that point, and I was reading back, and at that point, the star had left. At that point, and I don't know the period of time that is there, but as he got right here to 9, the star had reappeared. And it hovered over where the child was, and you know, with the wise men or the astronomers, they knowing just how cool this king was, they quickly departed, they quickly went on to do what they would have to do to go from the start to find out, so they could report back to him where this child was. But when they got to the child, what they did, they started to rejoice over it. With him, they started rejoicing because what God is here. The Messiah is here, so we're going to give homage to him, we're going to praise him, we're going to give him thanks for being here. You know, and that's basically what the verse is saying. They did go where the star led them, and they did rejoice over the child.
All right. Now, you said the star. Now, I don't know if I got the star disappeared anywhere. Did it disappear?
Well, I was reading somewhere where the star.
I don't think it left. I don't think it went no more, because it says in verse 9, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. So they were following the star. Is that correct? They were following the star. Huh? You go find it? Yeah, because I didn't see no words where the star started.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't always get that out of the...
The lesson book says this indicates that at some point it had ceased to shine or was otherwise unseen.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, now what it reads in verse 9, it seemed like it was there all the time.
Yeah, right.
So...
When it said, after departing from the king's court, the wise men once again saw the star. So he was saying, insinuating that it stopped shining or whatever at some point, and then again started shining. I guess that's good.
Yeah, well, verse 9 says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them. It don't say once again. Yeah, you can't go by. Remember, y'all can't always go by your book. And if something's in your book, you got to make sure it lines up with the word, and make sure the scriptures is lining up with what the scriptures is saying. So we won't just, because we don't want to add to. So that's right. We can't go by opinions. So is that all right? So everything else is right. So when they got there, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Oh, that's better than the review. Oh, it's 14. Yeah. Well, we about made it, didn't we? Y'all teach you out yet? Somebody do 11 and 12 while they still coming out. We can finish this lesson. Who ain't done one? Oh, go ahead, Tanya. Do that. I like that. Nikki said Tanya. Go ahead, Tanya.
And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Just 11 or 12?
11, 12.
And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And from that, of course, when you're in the presence of the Lord, you know, you're going to want to worship and give him all that you have. And I like that too, because I think I was raised always believing that when Jesus was born, the wise men weren't there. They had came then when he was born. But in this lesson, realizing he was a young child. He wasn't even a newborn anymore. So
that's what me and Pastor was talking about on last night, because I know one time we had to study, and which is still correct, to how, you know, people put the wise men at the scene. When you see the nativity scene, they put the wise men at the scene with the shepherds, and him still in the what? In the trough, in the manger. And as she was talking about how, and me and Pastor, we was doing the mileage. We was doing some mileage last night. How long it took the Magi, the wise men, to walk from the east. So we figured it from they were coming from Babylon or Persia, and which was what both was over 1,000 miles, right? But yeah, about 2 years, and then they had to. We figured a couple of hours to walk to Jerusalem because it's only about 5 miles apart. So that's why Herod killed 2 years and under. And so to make sure, okay, we know it's about, and there's the scripture that says that about the court time of the wise men. So yeah, so that's correct. So when you see them nativity scenes with baby Jesus still in the manger with the wise men, now if they take the wise men out and bring the shepherd, it'll be correct. But with the wise men, that's incorrect, because it says he went to the house, so there was no longer in the what? In the manger. Is that all right? Y'all can research it on your own. Come on, give God some praise. Now we're under